right, today we're doing data displays, categorical versus quantitative. You might feel like you're in elementary school for a little bit of it. But we're going to start with categorical displays. And we mentioned this on the very first day of notes last week. Categorical variable is data that can be displayed using names or labels. All right, so categories, it's called categorical, but just think of categories, is something that has a name or a label, okay? So, for example, blonde, brunette, red, black, what category is that?
Hair color.
Hair colors, okay? All right, so that category is hair colors, okay? What is red, yellow, green, purple? Just colors, okay? All right, what about collie, shepherd, terrier, Labrador? Dogs, okay? So were there any numbers in that? No, those are categories, okay? All right, so a pie chart is a type of categorical data display which uses a circle divided into sectors. Okay, so you've done pie charts in elementary school. All right, it's a circle divided into sectors. All right, and a bar graph, a type of categorical data display which uses labels, that's represented by rectangles of equal width. Okay. All right, so technically yesterday we did histograms and we had numbers at the bottom. Today we're doing bar graphs where we'll just have categories, okay? All right, anybody need more time to write? All right, so let's do our first example. Express the following data as a pie chart and a bar graph. Carly did a survey with her friends about their favorite type of movies, and you've got comedy, action, romance, drama, and sci-fi. What does it mean to have a 4 under comedy? 4 people picked comedy as their favorite. Okay, so right here in our little chart, we're essentially going to fill in the same numbers to start with. So for comedy, there's how many people? 4. For action, there are romance, 6, drama, sci-fi, 4. Okay? Now, to get the total number, I do what? I add them up. Okay, so to get the total number, I add them up. And has anybody done that? No.
I tried.
20. Okay? All right. Right here, we need to get the percent. We need to get what they would be as a percent. So there's 4 people. How would I get that as a percent? 4 divided by 20. Anytime you want a percent, you divide by the total. So 4 divided by 20. Type that in your calculator. 4 divided by 20. 0.2. So what is that as a percent? 20%. Okay. All right. Nick S., how do I get the percent for action? What do I do? 5 divided by 20. Lacey, what does that give you? Which is what percent? 25%. Josh, how do I get the percent for romance? 6 divided by 20. Autumn, what does that give you? 30%. Christian, how do I get drama? Haley Ann, what does that give you? 5%. Eric, how do I get sci-fi? Good. And we've already done that right here, and it gave us 20%. Okay? All right, guys, what should the total percent always be? 100, okay? So you could add these to double check yourself. That'd be a great way to double check yourself on the test, okay? All right, this next part is kind of new. We want to get the degrees, all right, because we're going to be using a circle. Does anybody remember from last year, you did learn this, how many degrees are in a circle? 360, okay? So there's 360 total degrees in a circle, all right? 360 degrees in a circle. To get the degrees, I need to figure out what 20% of 360 is, okay? So we kind of learned how to do this yesterday. 20% becomes what? 0.2. Of means 2, multiply by 360. So type that in, 0.2 times 360. So it's going to be 72 degrees. Okay. All right, for this next one, I would need 25% of 360. So Justin, how would I find 25% of 360? What would I do? Change 25% to a decimal. Change 25% to a 0.25. And what does of mean to do? Multiply, okay? So you multiply by 360. So 0.25 times 360. All right, what are y'all getting? What? 0.25 times 360? 90. Oh, that's fine. All right, so that one's 90 degrees. Okay. All right. Alexis H, how do I get romance? What do I do? 0.30 by 360. All right. And what does that one give you, y'all? 108. Okay. All right, Joseph, how do I find 5% of 360? What do I do? 0.05 times 360. Okay, what do y'all have for that? 18. Okay, and the last one, Jasmine, Safi, 72 degrees. That's okay. 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 Does anybody have a question about how to get those numbers? Okay. This part right here, this next part we're going to do, it needs to be close, but it doesn't have to be exact, okay? It doesn't need to be exact, just estimate. I think the easiest one to do first is 90 degrees, because what kind of angle is a 90-degree angle? A right angle. So I go ahead and draw a right angle, and as you can see, I've already taken up too much of the circle, but it's fine, okay? It's close enough. So this is 90 degrees. So I need to label that what category? Action. And you're going to pick a color. And let's also go ahead and put the percent in here. So that's 25%. And you'll pick a color, and you'll shade that in. Okay. So action is 25%. Move on. Okay, so action was 25%. Which one do you want to do next? All right. Okay, well, I heard somebody say comedy, so let me go with that. 72 degrees, is that going to be more than a right angle or less than a right angle? Less than a right angle, because a right angle is 90 degrees, so 72 is going to be a little bit less than that. Okay, so I'm going to label this one comedy, and I'll put the percent in, 20%, and I'll shade that one in with a different color. All right, romance, 108 degrees. Does it need to be bigger or smaller? Bigger. So I'm going to do something like this. Okay, so this is romance, and that is 30%. Okay. And you can color that one. And then drama needs to be pretty small. All right, so drama is 5%, so that'd be a different color. And then my last one. How do I, if I want it to be pink. All right, let's see if that works. There it goes. Okay. This last one would be pink. And that one is what? What is this one? Sapphire. Thank you. And it is also 20%. Please, even if you're still coloring and paying attention. All right, now we're going to make a bar graph. What do you think the title of my bar graph should be? Good. Movies, favorite type of movies. So favorite type of movies. Okay. Good. All right, Haley J, what should go at the bottom? Like down here. The different types of movies. So we should do comedies. All right, so comedies. Oh my gosh. Try putting this down. Back up. Okay. All right. Comedies, action, romance, drama, and sci-fi. Okay, for a bar graph, there are technically spaces between the bars, if you care. Okay. And Christian, what should the side of my graph go up to? We're just doing this line. Just 6, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? So for a bar graph, you're just doing the original numbers, okay? All right, so for comedies, you need to use the same color you used on your pie chart. So for comedies, it needs to go up to what? 4. Use your same color. Action needs to go up to 5. I'll use the same color I used for action. Romance goes up to 6. Drama goes up to 1. And sci-fi goes up to 4. And you can pretend that it's pink. All right, so this one is, if it's quantitative variables, this is data that can be displayed using numerical values. So that means numbers. Okay, if it's quantitative, numerical values. You can fix it later. Flip it over. All right, numerical values. What do you think? 1.2 million, 4.3 million, 2.5 million. What category could that be? What could those numbers represent? Money. Good. All right. So those could be money. They could be lots of things, but money's the first thing that comes to mind. All right, what about 8 pounds, 9 pounds, 12 pounds, 27 pounds? Weight. Okay. What about 36 inches, 23 inches, 48 inches? Length. Okay, so on this side we're going to be doing stem and leaf plots. Again, I think you did those in middle school maybe. A type of quantitative data display that is organized from least to greatest. And it's separated into 2 columns. Okay. And we're also going to be doing box and whiskers, which we did in Math 1. So if you had me or Miss Patterson, you definitely have done these before. A type of quantitative data display that is organized in quartiles. Q1, Q2, Q3. We did those in Math 1. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's do our example. So we have all these numbers. The class scores on a 50-item test are shown in the table below. The first thing I want you to do is make a stem and leaf plot. So the way you do that is you first have to find your lowest number up here. What's your lowest number? 42. And what is your highest number? What's your highest number? 99. Okay, 99 is your highest number. On this side, this is a typo. It should say stem. On this side, you're doing the tens place. So 40, 50, 60, 80, 90. That's what those represent. 40, 50, 60. Oops. What did I skip? 7. So 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So that's what those represent, the tens place. Okay? Over here on the leaf, you're doing the ones place. So we have 42 is how you write that, 42. Are there any other numbers in the 40s? No. Okay? Are there any numbers in the 50s? So you leave this blank right here. Are there any numbers in the 60s? Yes. What's in the 60s? 66. So what do you think I write right here? A 6. Okay? All right. Are there any numbers in the 70s? What are they? Okay, so I'll put a 1, comma. That means 71. Then I need to do them in order. What's next? 73. So I'll put a comma and a 4. So this means 71, 73, and 74. That's what that means. Okay. All right, what about in the 80s? 80, what do you think I put for that? A 0. 4, good. A 6. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Any in the 90s? What are they? 90, so I'll put a 0. 91, 95, 98, and 99. Okay. All right, so that's how you make a stem and leaf plot. How am I going to get the mean, median, mode, range out of all these numbers? Put them in stats. So let's do that next. So go ahead and get your calculator out. All right, stat, enter. Ms. Voss. the calculator. Which one here? Okay, so type those in. It doesn't matter what order you do them in. They're right here too. And I'm going to do stat over to calc. Choose the first one. Enter, enter, enter. All right. So, Alexis H., what do you have for the mean? 82.7. That is X bar. Okay. Eric, what do you have for the median? Good. That's the one where you have to scroll down for MED. Justin, will the calculator give you the mode? No. Guys, is it easier to find the mode looking at this chart or your stem and leaf? Stem and leaf. So, Justin, which number occurs the most looking at this? Which one occurs multiple times? 86 and 89. So this one has two of them. Okay. Nick S., how do you get the range? What's the formula for that? Very good. So max minus min, exactly what you said. Okay. So again, I could look right here or in my calculator, 99 minus 42. Anybody? 57. Okay. Let's go ahead and skip down to the standard deviation. Autumn, what do you have for that one? So that's that symbol, 13.3. And Haley J., do you remember how to get the variance? Justin? You square it. Yep, no, that's fine. So you square this number. So you type in 13.3 squared. What do y'all have for that? 176.2. Okay. Okay. 0.9. Okay. Okay. Last thing we're going to do is a box and whisker plot. You already have these numbers in your calculator, so let's just go ahead and use them. What does the calculator have for the minimum? You got to scroll down. Let me pull that up and show you what I mean on the calculator. So on the calculator, you scroll down, and it has the minimum right there, MIN. So it's got 42. LQ, I'll always refer to that as Q1. I just didn't white it out on your notes. So that will be Q1, the first quartile. They're using LQ for lower quartile, but Q1. What do y'all have for Q1? 74. Okay. What do you have for the max? 99. Upper quartile is Q3. 90. And the median, okay. All right, IQR, we did this a lot in Math 1, but I know that's been many moons ago, all right? IQR is the inner quartile range, and that is Q3 minus Q1 is how you get that. Q3 minus Q1. So again, we did that in Math 1, but I know that's been a long time ago. So Q3 minus Q1. What does that give you? 90 minus 74? Oh, yeah, sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, 16. Sorry about that. Okay, and the last thing you have to do is this. This is brand new. Okay, we did not do this in Math 1. To find outliers, we're going to be using a formula, okay? So let me see if I can make this. All right. I don't know if y'all have room. Yeah, you got a little bit of room down at the bottom. Okay. To get the outliers, you have to find out what the boundaries are, okay? And so here's how you do this. You do Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. And you have to do Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. So write that down. So we're going to have to do those two things in our calculator. We're going to have to do Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR and Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. Those are the two formulas for outliers. So in my calculator, I'm going to just fill in the numbers. What number goes in for Q3? 90 plus 1.5. And what did we say was the IQR? 16. So I put 16 in parentheses. What does that give you in the calculator? What? Okay. And so you have to ask yourself, are there any numbers above 114? Are there any numbers above 114? Okay. So there's no outliers in that direction. Okay. All right. Now let's do Q1 minus 1.5 times IQR. What is Q1? 74 minus 1.5. And our IQR is 16. Okay. And what does that give you? What? Okay. For this one, you ask yourself, are there any numbers below 50? 42. So 42 is an outlier. Okay. 42 is an outlier. Okay, so this is not hard. It's just a lot to remember. What you have to do, if there's an outlier, you have to go back and cross it out as your minimum, since it's an outlier. It's no longer the minimum. And you put in the next number next to it. What's the next number up from 42? 66. Okay. All right. On my number line, I need to go from 42 to 99. So how about I just go 40, 50, 60. It doesn't have to be exact. 70, 80, 90. Okay. And we're going to draw a box and whiskers. Okay, we're going to draw a box and whiskers up here. Let's start with the box. Let's start with the box. The box is going to be, you'll put a line at the median. So 86.5 is between 80 and 90. So you just put a line, a straight up and down line at the median. You put a straight up and down line at Q1. So at 74, put a straight up and down line. And you put a straight up and down line at 90. And you connect that into a box with a line down the middle. Okay, so that's the box. Yep, looks great. And then your whiskers go to 66 and to 99 are your whiskers. And the very last thing you do is you put a dot at the outlier at 42. It just gets its own little dot. Okay, so you put a dot at 42 because it's an outlier. What? Yes, you just leave a line at the median. Okay. Okay. Anybody need more time to write? Uh-huh. Okay, you do not need to write this one down, but I feel like we need to do one more quick example. So, make a box and whisker plot of these numbers. What do you think you need to do with those numbers first? Put them in stat. So everybody do that. You don't need to write it down, but you do need to type them in stat. Everybody needs to type them in stat. Type these numbers in stat. Okay, go over to stat, calc, choose the first one, and for our box and whiskers, you need the min, Q1, median, Q3, max, and outlier. So scroll down. What do you have for the minimum? 9. What do you have for Q1? Median, Q3, and the max. What? 24. Okay. All right. Are y'all good on those? Okay. To get my outliers, I have to use my 2 formulas. I got to use my 2 formulas. What was the first formula? Okay. So, Josh, what is my Q3 number? 14 plus 1.5. Gabby, how do you get the IQR? Do you remember? Justin, do you remember how to get the IQR? Lacey, you remember? Good. It's Q1 and Q3. You subtract those. So do that real quick. 14 minus 2.5. What is it? 11.5. So the IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Okay? All right. So type that in your calculator. 14 plus 1.5 times 11.5. What is it? Okay. Am I looking for numbers above that or below it? Above it. Are there any numbers above that? No. Okay. So there are no outliers above. All right. The other formula. What was that other formula? Okay. So that would be, Jasmine, what's my Q1? $2.5? Should be 2.5. Q1? You might have typed them in wrong. 2.5 minus 1.5 times 11.5. All right, when you type all of that in your calculator, it gives you what? Negative what? 7.5? Okay. I'm looking for numbers below that. Are there any numbers below negative 14? So for this one, are there any outliers? No. Okay, there's no outliers. So I need to go from, wait, Q1 is not 2.5. $10.5. Okay, sorry. Q1 is 10.5. So somebody retype this in for me real quick, please. 10.5 minus 1.5 times 11.5. Negative what? Okay. So are there any numbers below negative 6.75? No, so there's no outliers. Okay, on my number line, I've got to go from 9, so I'll just start at 5, and I need to go all the way to 25. So what can I count by? 5's 10, 15, 20, okay? And these 3 will be my box. So I put a line at 10.5, a line at 12, and a line at 14. Those are my box. And where do you draw your whiskers to? 9 and 24. Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience.